Heyo, you're listening to Edge Coach Quip, featuring our very own Edge coaches and community, dropping knowledge nuggets to fuel your day. All right, welcome to Coach Quip episode 110. This one's really special.
Yeah, today we are doing a Chicago Marathon preview with some exciting special guests.
I'm Coach Robyn.
I'm Coach Chris.
And let us introduce you to our guests. First off, we have Kaira Payton. You probably know her as Mad Genius or the creative fitness genius. She ran cross country in high school, which I can totally see. But you didn't really ever truly consider yourself a runner until 2018 when you got sick and decided to put your fitness as a top priority, which I love that. I love there being a moment to make a shift. You began running with Gumbo Fit in 2019, which is how I met you. And you really haven't looked back since. You work in TV and film production and photography, and you have your own company, which you do all the things I'm terrible at. Thank you. It's called Tony Road Productions. All, still around 2017. That's what, 6 years. Congrats.
Yeah.
You also are all over when it comes to fitness. You're a spin coach, an RRCA run coach, overall fitness enthusiast. You're also running your 4th marathon this year, which is Chicago. And right now it's your 4th marathon period. Your 2nd is going to be this year because you did the London virtual first, and this will be your 3rd Chicago marathon. So you are now definitely an expert. You're calling 2023 Metalgate, and you're also running Detroit and Philly half marathons and competing in High Rocks, which is super cool.
Yep.
Welcome, Kaira.
Thank you for having me, guys.
All right, next up we have Jamie Campbell. Jamie is a Chicago runner, mom of 3, and a Gumbo Fit captain. And she began running in 2020 on her journey to living a healthy and full life. Love that.
2020? That's when you started?
Yeah.
Since joining the running community, Jamie has gone all in, completing 3 marathons, including Chicago Marathon in 2021 and 22, and the Indianapolis Marathon in 2022 as well. And she's currently training for the 2023 Bank of America Chicago Marathon and the New York City Marathon too. Okay, doing the double. And Jamie is a run streaker. Wait, what?
Yeah.
You just started running and you are okay. Wait, a run streaker with over 600 consecutive days of running since January 2021, and advocates for running as a form of self-care, encouraging other people to incorporate running as a tool for creating a healthier lifestyle. We are so excited to have you with, and I have run streak questions too that we'll talk about after this.
Thank you.
All right. Last but not least is Craig Taylor, who I met way back when through Nike, born and raised on Chicago's South Side. He's been running for over 10 years. And you're on the way right now to running your 5th Chicago Marathon and, continue to run through the winter and, of course, continue on to Shamrock Shuffle, which I love because we will talk at the end of how the heck people transition out of marathon. Craig and 2 of his friends who are also former Nike employees started a Southside running group called 7 on Sundays. You've probably heard of it. And this year they celebrated their 5th year, which is amazing. 7 on Sundays is all about providing a safe space and exposing other runners to a Southside running community, and really continues to be one of the main goals, which is just so evident. Every Sunday, rain, snow, or shine, they provide an opportunity to run a 7-mile or a mile route through Southside neighborhoods and the lakefront. Running is what gives him life. He says he is over a half-century old. I don't believe it. And it still brings the same joy that it did for the first time he laced up and took off. And his future goals are to complete all of the majors by 60. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
All right. We're ready to learn from you all. First up, our Quip. So when I first started working for Nike, I remember it was my first time sitting down with them. And they said to me, we're going to gear up. We're going to do this run club thing because it all gears up to the Chicago Marathon. The Chicago Marathon is the biggest event for the city of Chicago every single year. And I remember being like, really? There's a lot of professional sports out there. This is the biggest. But you know what? They were right. It's millions of spectators, 50,000 people on the streets. There is no bigger day that we cover more ground with more people than the Bank of America Chicago Marathon, which is why it is the biggest day for our city to show up and for our runners to throw down, which I love it. So with that, we want to ask each of you first and foremost, what makes this race special? What do you love about the Chicago Marathon? Jamie, let's go with you first.
What I love most about the Chicago Marathon literally is the cheer zones. I noticed the difference between the 21 and 22 Chicago marathons, especially with the immersion of all the run clubs. And I think that's what made, for me, 22 more special, is that you got to see and feel the different flavors of everybody's personalities incorporated into the race and the course. Quite honestly, I think you said it, like having the city come out to cheer for you, it made you feel like a rock star. Like, they may not know you personally, but it was just like, you're here for me. Like, you came out on a Sunday that early to come cheer for me. So I think that's, to me, what make the Chicago Marathon special. And that's what I enjoy the most.
I love that. All right, Kaira, what about you?
Kind of like piggybacking what Jamie said, one of my favorite things is because, especially if you're from here, you kind of know the neighborhoods. So that's always fun. Like, you might have driven over here or gone to a restaurant over there or heard about this place, but it's a totally different experience when you're on the ground running it and you get to like look and kind of to your left, right, and things that you don't normally do when you're driving. So that is like a really fun thing too, because it's always like a tour of the city. And like Jamie said, now with so many run clubs, and now it's even more people that you know, and like seeing people that you didn't expect to see, like, oh snap, what are you doing here? And just all of that. Like, you really do feel, it feels like, you know, like you're like, I don't know, like you just won the Olympics or something. So it's this very like powerful feeling, especially when you get tired and you're ready to quit and you're just like, oh, I see someone I know, they're screaming my name, so now I gotta keep going. And then you just carry that on to the finish line. So
all right, Craig, what about you? What do you love about this race?
Just the energy, the energy and the love, kind of what you guys were saying. When someone calls your name and you didn't even realize that they saw you and that they knew you were running the marathon. Ex-bosses have been out there calling my name. I'm like, oh my goodness, you came out to see this marathon. And maybe they happened to see me, maybe they came to see me, but then I get like a video afterwards of them recording me running this marathon. It's the neighborhoods. Like in the beginning, everyone always told me, oh, Chinatown's amazing. Oh, Pilsen's amazing. The love there. But there's just so much more love year after year. Like this 5th year and when I ran it last year, it's just new love. It's like these running groups coming up, turning the corner where we run from and seeing 7 on Sundays and Gumbo and, one or two other groups. The energy is just amazing. It's just like the energy from the unknown is amazing, but then the energy from the familiar people that you ran with, that you trained with, that are out there cheering you on, that's the amazing part too. So it's evolving. It's always new. There's just always something different to experience when you run these marathons every year.
I love that. I always think about, I'm not a football person, but going to Bears games very occasionally, I always love their concept of fourth phase of, you have these different teams, but then your fourth phase, your fourth big team is actually the spectators. It's the lift that you get from everyone around you. And so I feel like the unknown and the known is like a fourth and a fifth phase for us runners, which is awesome. Yeah.
What about you?
Oh, it's so stressful as a coach. I love the idea of the collective city just as a whole. We are the city of big shoulders, and I have this just image of 50,000 people getting lifted up and put onto the shoulders of the spectators. And then at the same time, leaving little glittery trails behind them, because at the end of the day, it's 50,000 people on the streets running. And it's probably, I think the last estimate was 2 million people on like a fair day outside. Wow. And if you think about the impact that you have as one of those 50,000 runners, you are literally leaving little sparkles of curiosity and belief and hope. And if you ask someone, why are you doing the marathon? Most people will say, well, one year I watched it and I saw people go by and I had a voice in my head that said, I want to do it. Yeah. And you are those people. You are the sparkle that's left behind. And I just think that it's such an amazing testament of the human will and kind of passing that baton. So that whole imagery makes me very, very, very heartwarming. Yeah. What about you?
Goosebumps. I think mine goes along with the energy. You know, I love the collective energy, not just of a race day, but of that week leading up. Like that last taper run on Sunday where you see everybody just smiling on the lakefront path or doing the last 10 miles of the course. And, you know, everybody that week, just the buzz when you first see the line go down on the pavement.
Yeah.
I crossed over and I was like, oh, the line is down. It is here. It's time. Going to the expo, you know, getting the bib, seeing everybody there, just how pumped everybody is. I just think that you cannot beat that energy. Just, oh, it's just so good.
It's so good. I have so much FOMO the whole weekend. I want to
Yeah.
be everywhere at once.
I try to live vicariously through it.
All right, that is our quip. In the bonus miles, trust me, you want to stay tuned. We have all types of questions about tips and tricks about the course, as well as what the heck to do after. Stay tuned. All right, you have arrived at the bonus miles for the Bank of America Chicago Marathon 2023 edition. First question. Are there any parts of the course that are noteworthy, or what's your favorite part?
For me, the most noteworthy, not necessarily the most favorite part that people need to know about, is as you run along the expressway. That's a long route and there's not as many spectators, and that's when you really kind of have to like zone in, concentrate on your run game, and just be in that moment and be with yourself and know that, you know, when you make that turn and you hit IIT's campus, that's when it kind of blows up again. But you got to make those expressway miles, and you just got, that's the grind. For me personally, that's the grind. Those are the grind miles.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else have any parts of the course that are noteworthy?
The bathrooms. No one ever talks about porta potties. So my thing is, everyone always, because on LaSalle, like where the 5K is, that is like the busiest bathroom porta potty city. Like I always try to tell people, never, unless you have to, like unless you really have to, never stop at those first bathrooms. So noteworthy is to try to know where the bathrooms are. I don't know if they have them on the course like before, but just knowing where the alternative bathrooms are would definitely save you time. As far as traffic, it's normally more clean. It's just an easier process. So I learned the hard way about bathrooms in 2021. So in 2022, it was no problem. So if you can, try to figure out where the bathrooms are.
I think just the fact that every neighborhood brings a different flavor. You know, up north you have the people that are pouring mimosas for you and the drag queen shows. Then you get in Chinatown and there's the dragon line dance. In Pilsen you have people with the beers, and I regret not taking a donut from somebody in 2021. I was like, how do you run with a donut and eat, sir? I can't take that. And then
Hey,
you know,
donut people.
I know, hey, donut people, cut it in half next time. And I think, you know, when you get to mile 23, it's just a party on the south side in Bronzeville. So it's just the last push that you need to get down Michigan Avenue to get to the finish line. So for me, I started thinking about all those little things because I'm like, okay, when I get here, you know, pick up the energy, pick up the pace, like, you know, it's going to be alive. So that's what keeps me going.
I love that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So next up, tips on racing strategy. So how are you all approaching this as runners yourselves, and with the other runners that you're talking to? What do you think is the best strategy for Chicago?
I think for me, it's just taking in every moment and embrace all the feels. Don't let other people's expectations drive how you approach race day. Just break down what worked for you, and like really this is the moment where you fine tune the different things that actually work during the training season. Like that was the I guess the precursor to the big show, right? So figure out what worked the most and continue to do that with discipline and consistency, and use that to push you forward for race day.
The training is the hard part. This is the fun part. This is the part you got to remember to enjoy this part. You got to remember that you're out there. There's going to be people in front of you. There's going to be people behind you. either way, you're in a good spot, and you just need to take it all in and be in the moment. That's the big thing for me on racing. That's my strategy at least, is to be in the moment and make sure I stay in that moment.
And I just will say, piggybacking off that, breathe. I know a lot of times you are like nervous, or you're clenching your jaw, and you're clenching your hands, and your shoulders are tight, and everything. You're just in your head, and you're thinking about your pace, and like you're thinking of everything. Just breathe. Just breathe. Like, that's the thing I keep telling myself. Breathe. Just breathe. And like Craig said, this is fun. You have an audience of, like you said, all these people, your friends, family, people you don't know. Put on a show. Breathe. You rehearse, you practice, you know your lines, you know the routine,
Yes.
all of the things, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, just breathe, trust your legs, trust your training, and have fun. And like, just try, when it gets hard, just laugh and smile and just say, like, I'm really doing something crazy but awesome. And I get the opportunity and the experience to do this with all these other people who are right here with me. So if it's hot, they're hot too. If it's cold, they're cold too. So whatever it is, we're all in it together. So just breathe and have fun. And like I always say, you get the same medal regardless of the time, regardless of the pace. It shines the exact same. So breathe and have fun.
Oh, this is amazing. See, these answers are my type of answers. You know this already. I love that your answers were not about timing or negative splitting, or, it's really is this experience. And anybody who has a serious time goal should be talking to their coach about the right strategy for them, because there's not a blanket strategy for all runners. But what the three of you just mentioned about mindset and outlook and how you approach that feeling on race day is universal for everybody.
We all know that we make mistakes on race day. You certainly made mistakes on race day. So you've been around the block when it comes to marathons and Chicago Marathon. What is the one mistake you see runners making at Chicago Marathon?
Besides the bathrooms.
Their outfits. Like, I know for me, I was trying to like have a moment and just like give you Beyonce on the race course. And it was cute, but it wasn't functional. So I would say that, like, so when everyone says like dress rehearsal, another theater reference, the shoes especially. So know what works for your feet. If you need tape, if you need whatever kind of compression gear. So all of these things are things you need to know, because you don't want to be like 2 hours in and like, dag, my socks hurt. Dag, my bra, I have this tag in my bra that's been scratching me for the last 30 minutes, or my pants are falling down, or my fanny pack is this. So all of those things will get in your head when you should just be kind of vibing. Make sure whatever you're wearing that you are quite comfortable in. It's going to get wet. It's going to get sticky. It's going to be hard to pull off, all of the things. Know that going into it and kind of be prepared for that.
I think my biggest thing is making sure that you're keeping your body temperature cool. And that's no matter what the weather's going to be that day. You're asking your body to do something that it doesn't ordinarily do, and it's going to heat up. And the one thing that I've learned over the marathons that I've done is I always grab water at all the water stations, not to drink, to pour on the back of my neck. And that just keeps my body temperature way down. And I see people cramping up, and I see people really, really hot, but that stops me from cramping up, and it just keeps my body temperature low too. And it just makes it so much more comfortable. So anytime I see water, pour it on the back, keep your body temperature where it needs to be. Don't overheat.
Yeah, I'm with Craig. Don't underestimate the weather. I know last year with Chicago, it didn't start out hot, but it eventually got there. So that's one thing, but definitely having people not go out too fast. I know especially downtown, we get caught up in the fact that our watches say one thing, but we feel like we're going harder, and we don't get good GPS downtown. So it may say that you're doing, so many minutes per mile in pace, but really just go by feel. How you feel at a certain pace. So don't mind what the watch says, just go by feel and try to get through downtown, and eventually your watch will regulate to how your body feels.
I was going to give that same one.
So was I.
I think it's Chicago's biggest challenge is the first 5 miles because you just don't have data. So you're flying a little bit blind and everybody's excited and everyone's tapered. So they're like rocket ships going out. And the problem with that is that we're not taking in nutrition and hydration with a low enough heart rate. And then you get to, 18 to 21, God bless, when you're along the expressway maybe, and you're like a little behind. So my ultimate hack on that is to have you either have a second watch that's what I would call a dumb watch, like a Timex that literally doesn't have GPS, and you have mile markers all along the course and you can check every mile and hit it and see. Don't look at your GPS until you're sure it's working, right? But you could see exactly what you're doing. Don't try to do the math, just hit the lap button every mile, and it's a good check. And then you might run 1 mile too fast, but then you have a way to correct it. A lot of watches as well can also go into manual lap mode, and that might not be a bad way to start, so that you have that way to manually lap as you're hitting those mile markers.
All right, we have talked quite a bit here about the spectators and how amazing it is to get all that energy from the crowd. So for our folks who are coming out who will be spectating, where do you think is the best place for spectators?
I'm going to say anywhere that's not downtown, because it's always crowded. Those are the spots that fill up the most. Of course, I'm partial to mile 23, but I would say anywhere throughout the course is a great place. Ideally somewhere, if you're going to be in multiple places, where you can give nutrition to the runner in case they need an extra boost or something like that. But definitely not downtown, because everybody wants to go there because that's the start and the finish line. And I always feel like it's too crowded there, in my opinion.
To see your runners, yeah.
I would say maybe some like West Loop area, just because even now that like Peace runners are like have like mile 16, it definitely is a whole night and day difference, but it still is like a little stretch before you get there that's kind of like weird, and it's like kind of dead-ish. So I'm like, maybe kind of that area, like I said, or get a divvy and just trail and follow along and just pop up. I think that's the best thing, is like when you kind of can just, people are expecting you at mile 16, but then they see you at mile 7 and they see you again over here. So it's just like, oh, wow. So a few of my friends did that, and that was like really good morale boosters, because I was expecting to see them at certain places and not others. So just kind of get in where you fit in, basically.
Well, Ed will be, as we always are, kind of on the tail end of that stretch right before mile 18 at Halstead and Taylor. So listen for
I always look for you.
Just a tip for anyone with spectators who wants to make sure that they see their people, to, if you do have a spot that you are lining up and you want to be seen, make sure that you're very clear about what side of the street, north, south of the intersection, east, west, so that there are so many people, everybody wearing pretty much the same uniform, right? It's really hard to find runners. And oftentimes I see that the runners are finding the spectators who are looking for, as you're running, you're looking and scanning the crowd. So sometimes it can be a miracle to find your people, because the tracker is a little off, or our paces are a little off of what we predicted. So make sure that you're clear about where you want your spectators to be if you really need to see them for that boost.
All right, pivoting just a little bit, talking about post-race, right? We always plan before and plan during, and then it's like after, what the heck goes on? So what do you all have planned? What do you have planned for recovery? What do you have planned for celebrations?
I have a bottle of wine that I haven't opened yet, so definitely there will be some wine drinking.
I'm probably getting some physical therapy. I've been getting dry needling leading up to the race, so I'm definitely gonna get, like, I have it already scheduled. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing. And then I have Detroit literally the next week. So Jamie and I both have Detroit next week. So we have a very short recovery time. So yeah.
I don't have anything the next week, so I'm good. I'm drinking wine.
You have more wine? Yeah, more wine.
Like if you don't have anything big quite coming up, that makes sense.
My best friend, she takes me to Sean Michelle's, which is the Black-owned ice cream shop in Bronzeville. So we go there after the marathon. In terms of recovery, I think I'm the worst person to ask, because I'm on a run streak, so I'm going to get up and run the next day. It probably is only a mile, but I'm still going to run. but I try to do my best to do as minimum as possible. So it includes a nap the night of, and then, we're partying because we just finished this marathon.
But you really led us to our next question, which is, I mean, you all are kind of leaning into that next season. So how can athletes safely lean into whatever's next, whether that's a turkey trot or another marathon, or maybe they're looking at something in the winter to do that's a little bit longer, even Shamrock Shuffle?
I would say give yourself grace and time to explore like what your goals are. Did you accomplish the goals that you wanted throughout this training cycle? And if you didn't, what happened? Sort of evaluate. So I keep notes on all my runs and try to figure out, okay, this worked well, this didn't work well. Not necessarily like time specific things, but just how I feel throughout each run. Did this go the way I expected it to? And sort of just thinking about that as I sort of look at the calendar to see, are there other races that I want to try to get to outside of Chicago? Because once you've run Chicago enough times, you start and you want to look at other places to have just other experiences. So it could be different distances too. Like, I've done the marathon. Should I focus more on 5Ks or 10Ks or half marathons? So for me, it'll be an evaluation of that of, what's on my bucket list too. What else is everybody else doing? Like Kaira said, we're going to Detroit to do a half. We're going to Philly I'm going to Philly after New York to do another half. So, those are things that I think runners should think about, going to other places and having new experiences.
I love that reflection as part of what you want to do ideally after a big event. I think that is incredibly mindful and so helpful. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm a spin instructor, so it's like my recovery is jumping back on the bike. Like I said, I'll be going to Detroit and Philly. I'm big on strength training as well. So I know sometimes when people don't, want to run when it gets cold, jump in that gym. I'm doing high rocks, which is great because it's a 6K. Well, it's a 10K in between like 6 to 8 different, strength obstacles. So just get in the gym. Like that's my thing. Like if you, aren't one of those people who like the treadmill, because I hate the treadmill, and maybe you don't want to wear, all the layers sometimes when it's cold, just strength train. And I think that will be great supplemental like base for whatever you're trying to do for that next race here. And then like Jamie said, kind of evaluate, how did your body feel? Like all of whatever you did, how did your body feel? Yeah, the pace, all of that stuff is great. How did your body feel? What might you want to work on? Where do you want to improve? All that stuff. And then kind of use that downtime to kind of just, like get in the lab, get in the gym, just so when it is time for Shamrock, which is the official kind of race time, you're already locked and loaded,
I love the answer of strength training after a marathon.
Yes.
You have made, again, my little green coat heart very, very happy. Time to put on some muscle, people, right? We've beat ourselves up moving in one direction for 18 weeks. Let's figure out how to move in all the directions and build up some more strength and conditioning that has little or nothing to do with running, and it will make you a stronger runner.
Absolutely.
All right. Last but not least, what final piece of advice would you give to a new marathoner? Because you know that they're going to be listening to this.
My biggest thing is be in the moment. Definitely just be in the moment. Just understand you've done the preparation. Like I was kind of saying in the beginning, you're there. Take care of yourself. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. Listen to your body. If you can make yourself stay in the moment, I think that's the biggest thing, because that's going to give you success, staying in that moment.
I think I would say run at your own pace. Just make the goal to finish. Don't get caught up in, what time do you want or what's your goal and all those things. I think I did when I did my first marathon, when realistically, the goal should be to finish. This is my first marathon, or this is someone's first marathon. And regardless, as Kaira said, your medal is going to look the same as anybody else as one of the elites. So have fun, soak it all in, embrace all the feels. I'm one of those people who always cry before a race. So let it all out.
Like at the start line?
Yes, I'm one of those people. I'm crying and I'm looking around, no one else is crying but me, but I'm like, it's okay.
I'll race with you.
I'm crying during the race too, especially on my first one when I saw my family. Just embrace it, have fun, and when you get done, it'll be worth it. That's what you tell yourself. You've trained all this time, it's going to be worth it in the end. And remember your why. Remember why you did this.
Yeah.
Technically, tie your shoes. Make sure that your shoes are tied. Shave butter. You will shave. Those are things that you need. So have some on you even. Like have it in your little fanny pack, whatever. Shave butter. Because let's just say about 14, your things are feeling weird, So shave butter. So
that is life-saving information.
Shave butter. And try to use the porta potties before you get in the star corrals if you can, because it gets really, really like crazy once you're getting towards the star corrals. And then that's when your adrenaline is going crazy and all the things. But like I said, the people next to you are running their own race, run yours. So use them as motivation and inspiration, but stay in your mile. Each mile is what it is. You might have a bad mile. You got 26 more, 25 more, whatever more to make up for it. Have fun. It's a great day. Try not to look at your watch because it really doesn't matter. Like you're going to be outside. You're running a marathon. Yeah. So just run. I have one more.
I would say also, don't wear headphones for your first one.
Yes.
Yeah. Soak up all the celebration and the crowd and all of that. It makes a world of a difference because you think that you need, maybe some people do need music, but I would say it's your first one, like listen to the crowd and, the cheers and all of that. Just soak it all in without the headphones.
There's a certain point in it.
For a few now, then you turn it on. You need that.
And that's what I was gonna say. I mean, I know sometimes I'll put my headphones in when I get in some of those tough miles, but starting out, I want all that energy. And then part of the marathon, like when you're going under viaducts and stuff, and you just hear nothing but feet. It's just silence, and you just hear people's feet hitting the ground and the pavement. Those are moments that you just want to
you're in the other runners, and you're like, you can look next to you, and you like just made a friend because you all are in the same struggle. And they like, I see you. Come on, you got it. You're about to slow down. Somebody just passed you on the back. You don't even know them, and you're like, okay, I was about to stop, but you know what? Okay, let's go. And so now you
feed off of everybody's energy.
Yeah, it's really those little tiny nuanced moments that you really just need to be appreciative of, because you don't train for those moments. Those are just like the life moments that you have to experience. So
and run on the carpet over the bridges. Run on the carpet.
Yes.
Run on the carpet.
That one gets brought up a lot. All right. Where can people find you on Instagram and your run crew as well? Just so that we get all of it.
I'm Jamie Campbell. You can find me on Instagram at Run Notes by Jamie, and I run with Gumbo Fit.
And I'm Kaira. You can find me at Instagram at Mad Genius Fit, and I also run with Gumbo Fit.
And I'm Craig Taylor. I have the world's longest Instagram handle, but it is many more mini monsters. Many number more mini small monsters, and I run with 7 on Sunday.
Right. Thank you all so much for being on. I just love that you gave such great answers that are really going to apply to everyone, whether it's their first or their 10th. And we just really appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to Coach Quip, original music performed by Ment. Follow us online on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Edge Athlete Lounge. Our podcast lives in the blog section of our website. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast, and you can check out the show notes for additional ways to contact us. Ready, set, onward we go.